you heard the good word. Trump's gonna get it done. He'll release the Epstein files on day one. The libs will cry when those names are exposed. Trump's gonna see that justice is imposed. What's that? Oh no, he needs a few months. He wants a case airtight, no bumps. His AG Pam Bondi says files on her desk, and MAGA's got binders they can attest. He's releasing the files to catch all the pedophiles. Never met Epstein or touched any teen. He's draining the swamp with Epstein's name off screen. We got new info, the files were in your mind. Watch Epstein's jail cam, edited for time. No list of accomplices, the guy just died. And all this talk of conspiracy, just people who lie. And Trump, he never spent time with that creep, except for the flights and the orgy he peeped. No surprise, there's no client list to exist. Sorry, MAGA friends, it was all just a myth. He's releasing the files to catch all the pedophiles. Never met Epstein or touched any teen. He's draining the swamp real clean with Epstein's name off screen. The files exist, made by Obama, Hill, and Biden. Let's not talk Epstein no more or ever again. Reminder that Trump and Epstein were not pals. Why do you care so much about it, all my boys and gals? From now on, if you say Epstein out loud, you're Antifa scum, disloyal and proud. A threat to humanity like Rosie O'Donnell, deported to prison without a trial. And if ever leaks and Trump's name appears 100 times over the course of some years, expect a visit from the army and feds. Trump with a Sharpie erasing what's said. He's releasing the files to catch all the pedophiles. Never met Epstein or touched any teen. He's draining the swamp real clean with Epstein's name off screen.
Really hate that sad loser, Mr. Newberger.
Who, me? Oh, where did you find that?
Newberger Funnies.
Oh, I love it. I love it. You know how I love old Hollywood.
That's why I was thinking of you. And what did you think of the shoes with the stats?
Oh, perfect.
Spats.
Perfect.
What are they called? Spats?
Spats. I remember when I was in high school band, our uniform, we had to wear spats on our shoes.
And that protected your shoes from dirt, right? Wasn't that
or I think they were just ornamental. That's all I ever thought they were. But still, it's a kind of a cool look. That whole I love that vintage look. I love the vintage music. The old Hollywood made Trump seem almost cute and endearing.
Wasn't he endearing when he was hanging out with the mobsters?
Oh yes.
Oh my God. Well, how have you been, Chuck? I missed you. I haven't seen you in gosh darn it 2 days.
Yeah.
2 days is a lot.
48 whole hours.
48
but here
whole
we are.
hours.
We're seeing each other now.
Well, let me tell you.
Book interview the other day, and
gosh darn it, I swear that you and I are psychic. Have you heard anything in the news lately?
Oh, what have I not heard in the news lately? And do you have to necessarily be psychic? Where do we even start, Whimsy?
Well, didn't we talk about NATO responding to Putin's aggressive threats? And now Putin is saying that the actions warrant the fact that, from his perspective, NATO has declared war on Russia.
Mm-hmm.
Where are we at?
Well, we did some readings on this the other day, and it looks like it's just Putin is just going down, 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 much like Trump is going down, down, down. NATO is banding together. I just found it fascinating. I finally listened to what Trump said at the United Nations the other day, and he's just throwing Putin under the bus.
It's interesting. I did 2 remotes. Hi, everybody. Good to see you,
Hi.
by the way. Welcome. And
Yeah.
we'll make sure, before we get started, we're going to just hold it right there. It looks like we've got 125 people plus 1 cat.
Yes.
Sasha, the beautiful Sasha, is here. And I swear I see her smiling when I said her name.
Oh, yeah.
There
Do it
she
again.
is. Sasha.
Oh,
There's that smile. We love you. Are you the star of the show, along with my kitty too?
Yes, you should get Mila.
Oh, my kitty has a mandatory nap at 5 o'clock. Has to like just hit the sleep. Well, we have so much to talk about. Of course, we will also do the empath prayer and blitz. Usually, how this show goes, people are like, "When are you going to do the card reading?" This we don't want it to be like we're prostitutes. We don't want to be like wham bam, thank you, ma'am. Next, get off me. Like that's not really what the show is. It's more that we get together and we chat. You're so funny.
Oh, Miss Whimsy, you be bad.
No, but we are here to chat and have fun, and we're a regular chat show. We just also have that psychic side, and that's the later part of the show. Anyway, before we get started on all of that, and of course we're going to talk about the Epstein files are about to be released, which is the main reason why we wanted to do that funny. But it looks like the generals are going to be meeting. I think it's Virginia. All the generals getting together in one location. It's never happened in the history of the country. So I think that unfortunately our predictions have been very accurate. And why your pendulum, I remember, had jumped. Remember, we went, oh God, and your pendulum had thrown.
It was while you were talking.
Well, last week it said no, Putin's not going in. It said last week, and they said, well, maybe it's just this week. And this week your pendulum jumped.
Yes.
So,
well, we often talk about how energy can shift from day to day, week to week, and we're just reading in the moment.
Yeah. Yeah, you did very well. Well, let's go ahead. We'll say hi to people as we go along, and then we'll go back to the discussion, and then we'll do the empath prayer and do a blitz. But I think that everybody's going to want to talk, debrief, talk about their feelings regarding this. But let's just start by saying hi to everybody who's all with us.
Okay, let's start saying hi here. We have Joanne Corbett. We have our wonderful Joel Tilson, our floor director. We have Terry Gallant. We have Intuitive Kathy, Renee. Not just Sybil, the Sybil. We have the Sybil here. We have M. We have Wendy Burt, the fabulous designer of your chic hat.
Nice hat.
And let me see. I hope I'm going to say this correctly. Is it Nanu? Is that correct? I hope I pronounced your name right. Nanu 4933. We have Gigi Pardo Lord, we have Fran Stevenson, we have Melanie, we have Ms. Debbie in the flow, Donna.
Very nice. Wow.
Candy the Brave, who said adorable Siamese cat. I'll forward that on to Sasha.
Sasha will love to hear that. Yeah.
She will. Attention. She loves attention. We have Aria Ranch. We have Dragon Rising 11.
Oh, I like that.
We have Marilyn. Oh, you like Siamese cats also. I love them. Paperback Writer. Let's see. Rebecca. We have, I'm trying not to repeat names here. Tina. Catherine Smith. Barbara Warwick. Christy. Michelle Bender. And Barbara Warwick. Did I say that before? I don't know.
Of course, our floor director is here, the amazing Joel Tilson. Great to see you, Joel. Let's go straight into it. Latest news is that Russia entered U.S. airspace by entering near Alaska.
Yes.
Any feelings? What do you think is going on, just as a psychic, just picking up the energy? Where do you think? Where do you think? What do you feel?
My initial opinion is this is just a show of force. This is Putin putting on a little display. Look how close we are to you, and look what we could do. But it's also been said that maybe he's also gauging what our response will be. But it's like a power play. Like, my missile is bigger than your missile. That kind of thing. It's so childish. It's like two little boys. but NATO and let me see. Pardon, I'm going to put glasses on here. NATO and this EU, and I'm assuming that's the European Union, are on full alert today. Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah. I mean, NATO and EU are in full alert, and then we have the meeting from the generals. So I know that people will want to blitz on that.
Yeah.
Joel also mentions that Russian Lavrov said that NATO and America are at war with Russia. So they're seeing our actions as an act of war. So are we in World War III? Is NATO now? How close are we to midnight? How close are we to the U.S. and NATO marching on Moscow?
Well, that's something we'd have to do a reading on. I'm not sure, but I get just intuitively a lot of this is for show. A lot of this is for show. It's not going to be as catastrophic ultimately as it sounds, as far as it being World War III. What are you feeling, Whimsy?
I feel as Putin that I'm becoming cornered. I feel like Stalin in his final days, paranoid, thinking that everybody's out to get me, thinking that I have to isolate and fire my generals. And I'm moving through generals very quickly so that they don't have time to organize a plot for my assassination. I'll just get rid of them. Even if they haven't done anything wrong, I'll just keep moving, so that they can never get organized. It's this constant rotation and fear that the Russian army is working with Ukraine, that this war should have been won a long time ago. And I feel as Putin that it was not won because Russia is helping the Ukraine, that there are people in key positions of power, like the former transportation secretary, that are giving key locations to things like weapons, etc., being sent to the front. And that was why he was assassinated in his car.
I just find it fascinating that Trump is now saying Ukraine is in full position to fight, should not give away any land. They can win this, that the European Union will come in to protect them. It's like, I wonder how much Trump knows from his own security people, the actual state of Putin right now. Or if this is just Trump being petty and getting back at Putin, like I said, like two little boys fighting back and forth.
I felt as Putin that I came to Alaska to threaten Trump and to manipulate him and to get him as one more effort for people to agree to a ceasefire so that I could rebuild and hold on to the parts of Ukraine I have currently taken control of. And if we stop now, I can have time to, lick my wounds, get some water. I'm the wounded bear. Right, I'm the wounded bear. So timeout. Let's have a timeout, and I'll just take this area here, and then the timeout is me recovering and then building up my military. So what NATO has to do is not give a timeout. And that their refusal to not give a timeout is what's causing him to become increasingly unstable. As Trump, being Trump, when I put myself in the shoes of Trump, I just don't give a damn anymore. I honestly don't care what Putin threatens me with, because I'm sick, because there's stuff getting exposed every day that I just deny. And I tell people it's artificial intelligence and it's fake. Go ahead and do your damnedest. Nobody will believe you.
Yeah, I've been feeling that way too, that Trump knows his time is running out quickly, but he also knows Putin's is running out. But as it has been pointed out, Putin does not have the financial resources. He doesn't have the armies anymore to start a war of this scale. So that's why I keep getting the vibe that a lot of this is just bluster. It's hyperbole. It's a lot of show with nothing to back it up.
Well, this goes back to the next part of the conversation. Does Putin really want war with NATO and America? I think that he wants to push them into to make them afraid enough to get to cease. We're afraid of your nukes. Okay, we'll give you a ceasefire. It reminds me of Saddam Hussein when he went crazy and began burning all the oil fields. Like, you're going to stop, or I'm going to torture everything. You're not going to get a single dime of this Iraqi oil, and all the contracts with the Bush their family owns all that crap. So I'm going to torch it all. You're going to lose it all if you don't sit down and negotiate with me.
Literal scorched earth.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
he literally went scorched earth, and in the end, he lost everything.
Yeah.
And NATO still
Everything.
went in, and that is where we are at right now with Putin.
It's certainly going that way. And, and I say that also based on just all the readings we've been doing for months now, where we've been seeing Putin ultimately being exiled to Siberia. Now, probably a nice mansion or something, but not a gulag, but he'll be exiled. He'll be
It's a
taken
rainforest. Most of it is not the frozen tundras. A lot of it is just like Oregon and Washington, like parts of Canada. It's actually really nice. You can have a log cabin out there. It's, he'd have his own security, but he would be retiring from politics. And now you have the biggest allies of Putin suggesting it's time to retire.
Yeah. It's hard when you've had that level of power to give it up. And I think that's going to be extremely difficult for him. But he's just going to have no choice. He's going to be put out to pasture. But it's just like Trump. Trump is going to be out of the picture soon, too.
Yes.
Sometimes I'm amazed at the parallels between these two men. And in many ways, they're a lot alike.
Yes, but I think in a bizarre way, Trump is actually more self-aware than Putin, believe it or not.
Well,
and maybe they're just on a different cocktail of drugs, because when I go into Putin's energy, I get more methamphetamine energy.
But I get
I feel like he shoots up. He's shooting speedballs. Maybe he had chronic pain, a little heroin, a little cocaine.
Sure.
And I every time I go into his relationship with Prigozhin, which was the head of Wagner, who he gave $1 billion to, I always feel like Prigozhin had dirt on him about his private drug problem, which included injections.
Wow.
That is where my head goes when I go into Putin Prigozhin. I'm seeing injections and the paranoia I see with Putin, like Hitler in the bunker.
Yes.
Up one more time.
And also, if he is on strong amphetamines like that, he's going to be increasingly paranoid. The drug brings that out. I mentioned on this show, I used to have a roommate who was addicted to crystal meth. So I have watched this. Oh God, that's a whole other story. This was like 35 years ago. But my point being, I have witnessed the personality changes. I've seen the paranoia. I've seen the mood swings. I've seen how mean and angry and crazy, and then it wears off, and then they sleep forever. Or they're up all night, like Trump. I've said to you for years, I have felt Trump has been doing like crystal meth and cocaine and drugs of that type. I mean, like it's 3:30 in the morning.
But he is doing more benzos lately, because I feel like you get this yo-yo, which Paul Simon talks about, that the drug addict yo-yo that eventually kills them. Elvis Presley, taking, he wrote that song Paraphernalia, and it was right around the time that that Elvis died. It was paraphernalia to hide your broken bones. This is why the musician, the politician gets into paraphernalia, taking downs to get up to sleep and ups to start you on your day. So it's the yo-yo of paraphernalia. Oh my God, I need my coffee. That's what I do in the morning. I go straight like a zombie coffee. I need my ups to start the day. And then my downers, here comes the chamomile tea, man. So I've been working a lot with the energy of chamomile.
You're making a natural Red Bull cocktail.
Yeah, but I'm trying. Well, and I spent the last week just studying chamomile and then the energy of chamomile. And so that I really know the plant. I know how it tastes in my mouth. A strong flavor. It's an anti-inflammatory.
I love chamomile.
And it's associated with the sun, sunny days. It looks like the sun. It's an Asteraceae.
Wonderful mood elevator.
I keep forgetting who I'm talking to. Yes. So, but so now I'm moving on to another plant and trying to figure out what the next plant is that wants to work with me. And this is what I do also as a naturopathic doctor, is I will I'll hear someone's story when they come in to see me as a patient, and then I'll try and connect to whatever herb I think wants to work with them.
Right.
So, but the point is, not to digress, is that to some extent we all self-medicate.
Sure we do.
Right now I'm having a half calf. I reduced the caffeine. That was one of the tricks I did for improving my health. This is a what is it? Cold water, something extract of the caffeine. But this is
water process. I think.
Yeah, this is Kicking Horse, 50% Kicking Horse decaf, 50% peats, so that I'm able to get 50% less caffeine.
Yeah.
And it's the water extract way of getting rid of it. And then I use allulose as a sugar, or stevia or something like that.
I love stevia also.
Yeah, stevia is all right.
I find personally I respond well to caffeine. Like 1 cup of coffee just makes
that's why I can have a large cup like this without getting the jitteries, but I have a little bit of energy. The point I'm trying to make is that it is natural that when you don't feel well, you're going to want to self-medicate. But so I think what we see in people who have personality disorders and people that have narcissistic personality disorder is we want that they go to the extremes of that. They often tend to be emotionally weak. People, I don't want to say emotionally weak, but delicate. It's
fragile.
Thank you. That's the word I was looking for. A kind of fragility, a kind of an emotional fragility. And we've talked about archetypes as well, right? We've talked about this idea that everybody has a different archetype in the Yoruba tradition. And one of the, usually men will have a male archetype. If they're a macho man, they'll have like Django, protector, or fire protector. But what I see is there are dark aspects and there are positive aspects to all of these ancient archetypes we see from like North Africa. But Oshun is femininity and beauty and the luxurious life. And she is gold. You can see she's dripping gold.
Yes.
Wearing gold, oh my gold. And so she's looking at herself in the mirror. Aren't I pretty? Oh, so pretty. And I've got my gold. So she's like, her dark aspect is like Alexis, right?
Yeah.
That vanity and that need to be pretty, and that just spending all day making yourself pretty and coiffing yourself. And so there's nothing wrong with that. But the dark aspect of Oshun is the greed.
Really?
And
I always saw it as abundance.
Well, I swear Trump tries to make himself look like Oshun in the sense covering himself with gold makeup. And he wants everything to look like gold.
Oh, I never thought of that toilet makeup. Yeah.
Yeah, he's like covering himself in the colors of Oshun.
It's like every time I see pictures of him in the Oval Office, and it just looks so gaudy, so tacky, and a lot of that gold, quote unquote gold, is actually gold spray paint and things that are plastic and they've been painted gold, and all that.
She is the patron saint of the courtesan of New Orleans. So,
really?
I'm sorry, I've got something in my throat.
I know you told me this about 5 or 6 years ago. You said, I am a child of Oshun. And you told me never to forget that.
Yeah. So many of the people that are actors, they're professional actors. I was born for the stage. Those are children of Oshun. And so the positive aspect is she teaches us play.
Yes.
She teaches us how to play and to have fun and to be in our joy. And
I like her exuberance.
Yeah. And so when I meditated on your energy, I got Oshun, the goddess Oshun, for you. And
I love that.
And it's rare that I'll see a man whose head is being ruled by a female deity. I used to date a guy he was ruled by Yamaya, and he was just he was a very mothering person. He was a very maternal
I'm a Cancer
person.
too.
Yeah, but I think the most common when we see this anomaly of males that are children of Oshun, it's usually people that are in the entertainment building. An example would be, who was the actor in Shampoo?
Warren Beatty.
Yeah, Warren Beatty would be a child of Oshun. Got to look good as he's walking across that street. Check himself out in the mirror, So I'm sure you had a lot of, you were out with the ladies a lot. Like you have that kind of, I know you like to dress well. I know you like
Well,
to
I do. You wouldn't know it, when I'm sitting around the house here in a t-shirt and boxer shorts, but
but
yeah, I
that's,
love opportunities to get dressed up.
so these are all
You know,
aspects of the goddess of Oshun. And she was, like I said, she was often seen as the courtesan, the multiracial courtesan who was very beautiful because she could pass, their idea of what beauty was you could pass into society. This
yeah.
idea that passing was somehow going to put you in a better financial situation also. So she was the courtesan in the houses of New Orleans. That was how she was seen.
Well, I've been working with a lot of people lately, trying to teach them how to love themselves, to celebrate themselves. And I remind people it's okay once in a while to look at yourself in the mirror and say, hey, I look good. Look at me. Look at my hair. Look at my clothes. To me, that's not narcissism.
You're such a child of Oshun.
That's just
No,
celebrating yourself.
Yeah,
that's
and that is
healthy.
exactly what she would say in her healthy form. But
Yeah.
getting back to, but she's also, because she has that side of her, like the mean streets of New Orleans, selling her wares to
Ooh,
the man in power, right? The
evil queen.
courtesan. Or you see a lot of her energy in Las Vegas.
Really?
Her energy. And so you have a lot of the men that are running the hotels and they're looking for Lady Luck and they want to get that gold and they love the
Ooh.
pretty things. So I think that those are all aspects where I see Trump as the dark aspects of Oshun, the gold, his love of
Yes,
gold,
gold
wanting
and
to pay
fake
himself
gold.
for gold.
It's all fake pseudo gold, plastic that's been spray painted. I think that's quite symbolic.
Yeah, and you have that also to some extent with Putin, but Putin also shares aspects with another deity, which is called Ogun. And
Ogun.
Ogun is a highly sensitive male who's capable of violence, and he is the king of swords.
Wow.
Yeah, and the knight
Sounds
of
very
swords.
volatile when you say
Yeah,
it.
the Knight of Swords. So if you're looking at the metal element, uh, the earliest energy is in the Orisha because it's 8,000 years ago, and this was the most ancient images of the King of Swords. And so he forged metal, he made weapons, he was the energy of creating the weapons. And he is prone to violence and he is erratic and hypersensitive. And so this is a different type of psychosis than what you would see in the dark aspects of Oshun. Oshun just feels like she's entitled in her I'm pampering, I'm looking
Yeah. Well,
in the dark aspects, they can pout. But the dark aspect of Ogun is they will kill you.
If I could just make an observation, it seems like Oshun is about feminine power, feminine strength. Ogun is more about repressed feminine energy, with all this masculine bravado and everything, and hence the emotional outbursts, the anger. I've seen this in men.
Yes, and this would also be more of what you would see in a man who murders his wife, like O.J. Simpson. This need of control and prone to physical violence, or Johnny Depp accused of hitting a few people, like picking up sticks and beating up the paparazzi. I think he beat up the paparazzi.
Right. Well, no, that is an astute assessment of Donald Trump, because we've seen how he lashes out. Like, I'm going to war with all my political enemies. I'm going to take all the late night talk show.
Well, that's more like my feelings are hurt, and when Oshun's feelings are hurt. Whereas Ogun, I'm thinking, is more Putin. Because Ogun had a sacred relationship with Oshun because they were very sensitive, but he was married to Oya and Olur.
Yeah. But Ogun feels like wounded male energy, repressed feminine that wants to come out to express, and the wounded male energy is not allowing it. And then it comes out in very angry, violent, inappropriate ways.
Well, it's a violence that comes from a hypersensitivity. So that's similar to Oshun. And he is seen, here is him, bringing on like thunder, lightning storms, but also you can see him carrying that metal. And so this is really what we believe may be the earliest depiction of the King of Swords. So it's kind of interesting when you look at where Putin is at right now. He does have that aspect. And because he does have this aspect, this ancient aspect of the King of Swords, it makes you a little bit scared of just what is this guy capable of right now. Is he so crazy that they're going to have to take hands on him and haul Putin off to Bedlam? I don't know.
It's looking that way. I don't know. You're going on to a subject here. I didn't want to.
Oh, no. I was just showing another image of Ogun.
Okay, because this is just coming to mind. When I was in acting class with Dee Wallace, I had to do a scene where I had to play a vicious serial killer. I mean, a monster. And I asked Dee, how do I even start with this? And she said, Chuck, remember, every scene is about love. It's either the pursuit of love, having love, or it's being denied love. This is a man who was denied love in his life. And he's angry and he's hurting and he's wounded and he's lashing out at people and he's killing people. And she gave me that piece of direction and just brought so many dimensions to that scene I never would have thought of before. I'm reminded of that right now.
Oh, that must have been fascinating.
Oh,
yeah, you really have to see the hurt of the person that's causing it. But at the same time, that is basically what we see, the difference between the anger of, I think that that Putin is in that Ogun Knight of Swords state. Remember how we kept seeing the Knight of Swords, that erratic, violent wind energy coming in? Yes. That is why I fear that Putin is serious. He's got nothing to lose.
No, neither man, Trump or Putin, neither one has anything to lose right now.
Wow. Okay. Well, let's go ahead. We're going to do the Empath prayer, and then we will blitz away.
Whimsy. We have a new member. Patricia.
We have a new member.
Yes.
Oh, wow. That's so exciting. Welcome, new member.
Thank you, new member, Patricia.
Yeah, Patricia. Okay. Let's see how we do this.
Darn, I need my own tambourine here.
A song written by Whimsy for our newest member, Patricia. Here we go. As soon as I figure out how to hold this. Okay. Patricia R., we welcome you. We welcome you to the Oracle of Whimsy. There you go. Welcome, welcome. Everybody gets their own song. It only goes for 30 seconds. All right, let's go ahead. We'll do the Empath prayer. Thank you, everybody, for being here. If you haven't had a chance to do so yet, be sure and share, like, subscribe as we slowly make our way to 100,000 subscribers. We're getting close. We're getting so close, Chuck.
How close are we, Whimsy?
I think we're close to 93,000.
Wow. That is exciting.
So it's happening soon. Okay, without further ado, let's bring in the Empath prayer. If you have someone who you need us to pray for, if you or someone you know needs to be prayed for, please give us their name now. You can go ahead and type it out, and we will make sure to include them in our prayers today. And so after this, and then we're going to see if you have a message from Spirit after we complete the Empath prayer. I believe you do. Is that correct?
I do. do.
Oh, I'm excited.
It's Thursday. It's Thursday.
It's Thursday. How exciting. Okay, we're going to bring in the Empath prayer.
Okay.
Okay. I want to call on white light protection for myself and this community as we ask permission from Spirit to access the Akashic records. We call on our spirit guides and our good angels to be with us. Please give us the clarity and the wisdom that is needed to empower all of us on our journeys to make the best decisions for ourselves, our families, the planet, the people we love, but also to help those that we may have strife with. And together, collectively, we say, Amen. And for those people today who are requesting a healing for yourselves and for those you love, we come together at this time and we pray. We pray that you and those you love receive a perfect healing in mind, body, and in spirit. And together, collectively, as a community, we say, Amen, Amen, Amen. May all souls be healed.
May all souls be
May all
healed.
souls be healed. Beautiful. Okay, we got a lot going on. So,
You do.
Chuck,
Yes.
how has your meditation been going during these difficult times? Any surprises?
I find sometimes I have difficulty staying grounded. I tend to go a little too far up in the clouds, and I know it's always better to pull myself in. And certainly when I'm doing channeling work, like getting these messages, I have to be extremely grounded, extremely calm. I even got chided once. Remember Ruth Bader Ginsburg? She said to me, I'm not talking to you until I know you're listening to me. Because she knew I was a little scattered that time. I was trying to rush it, and she was having nothing to do with it. And she said, I'll come back when you're ready for me.
Dang.
Oh, yeah.
How intimidating.
No, not too bad. But that's the thing about these spirits. The personalities they had here on Earth are still very much intact. I find that consistently. Just like Ruth Bader Ginsburg, she is just as driven as ever. She's working very hard on the other side on our behalf, even more so than she was here on Earth, because she's not held in by that body anymore. So even when she spoke to me, it was almost like she was saying, I'll pencil you in for a few minutes. And how many people are listening to the show? She wanted to make sure she wasn't wasting her time. So I had to laugh at that a little bit. They have humor. That comes through. And also, when I talk to these spirits, because these are some I've been communicating with for more than 30 years, usually it's just personal advice for me, personal conversation, low key. I'm very careful never to exploit them. That was one of my reasons I was reluctant to ever do this live like this on the show, because I so want to respect these souls and never exploit them. So I always ask for permission, and I always make it clear, do you have a public message you would like? And I always am interested in seeing how they change their stance. It's almost like they're getting up to the podium or taking the mic on the stage. It's a little bit different. They tweak themselves for the public as opposed to personal. Today I have a message from Judy Garland, and I had another celebrity. I know we both love Judy. Her grave is about a 15-minute drive from where I live. Well, yeah, I took you there. You know that.
Yes, more than once. Yeah, more than
once. I've been a fan of hers for many, many years. I think she was possibly the single greatest talent to ever come out of the Hollywood studio system. I mean, we know a great singer, but she was also a great comedian. She was a fabulous dramatic actress, and the woman could dance. She held her own with Fred Astaire and Kelly. I can't think of anybody with that kind of talent. But anyway, this is a message. It may not sound so much like Judy, because I asked her for a public statement. Is there something you'd like to talk about? Night two, I had another celebrity, and we were initially going to go with her. I think we're going to save her for next week or another time, but I thought this might apply to today. So I'm going to read this from Judy Garland. Let's see. Some of this is just personal here. She says, honey, I want you to be able to hear me without distractions. Please, of course, I'm perfectly flattered that you would call upon me sincerely and seriously to ask of my opinions and my say. And this is the message, and it's like a paragraph or two. If I had to address something in a few words, it would be around cruelty. I am greatly distressed by the growth, the proliferation of how cruelty is being spread around and taken so lightly, as if it's taken for granted, accepted, if you will, like something normal, a necessary fact of life, which of course is nonsense. It most definitely is not. Cruelty stems from individuals' own insecurities and beliefs. It is people projecting their hatred for themselves onto others. It is an extreme cry for help and attention. It is a way to have power and a sense of superiority over others that make them feel threatened. cruelty gives weak people a sense of having control.
Hmm.
Cruelty is used to rein in people. We must counter this every single day at every opportunity that is afforded to us. An act of simple kindness deals a mighty blow each and every time to the embodiment of cruelty. It chips away at the very energy field of cruelty. And then she finished it with saying, I humbly ask this of you. So that was my message from Judy.
You know, it sounds like the thing that keeps coming in is how much power we have to change
Exactly.
things with if we would just shift a little bit.
Yeah, well, you know, that has been a running theme with these messages I've channeled the last few weeks. I had one from Elizabeth Taylor. I had one from Jacqueline Kennedy Onassis. I had Eleanor Roosevelt last week. They're all saying basically the same thing.
Right.
We collectively have so much more power than we've ever realized, and how weak Donald Trump actually is. We are so much more powerful collectively, and we're seeing that. We talked about that on the Tuesday show with what happened with Jimmy Kimmel. You know, I thought he was brilliant. I don't know if you watched his monologue the night he came back.
No, but I heard it very well.
Well, he was saying, you know, this moment is so much more important than this show because it's about our free speech. And that's why people were canceling their Disney Plus subscriptions and boycotting Disneyland and what have you. And ABC, it was the voice of the people, the voice of the consumers. And if anything speaks loud and clear, it's money. And a lot of businesses are saying it is not a smart idea to be backing the policies of Donald Trump because it's incredibly unpopular. And this is one of the times people spoke.
Yeah, he's lost the millionaires and the billionaires.
Yes, he
I mean,
has.
I take this aggression from Putin that's now happening in his I don't give a crap. I think this is very serious. I think we need to take it very seriously because Trump doesn't care what Putin thinks anymore. And I think he's tired of the threats. You get to a point where a bully is threatening, well, if you're going to do what I say when I tell you, then go ahead and do it.
Mm-hmm.
I really feel that there's a double dare you energy happening right now as well. You know, it's not just about countering by being kind. It's also, I think we really have to exile and control some people, like definitely with Putin and Trump. Does Trump realize that his life is nearing its end? You want to do some cards on that or the pendulum?
I'm going to do just a yes or no to start with that. Does Trump know his life is nearing the end? Does he know? Well, I've got a yes on that. He knows. When he started talking about things like, I hope I go to heaven. Have you ever heard Trump say things like that?
They say I'm not doing so good. You know,
yes, exactly.
Who is saying you're not doing so good? Well, his doctors are saying he's not doing so good.
Ooh, oh my God. Oh my God, what popped up? And I got a card. Mm-hmm. We talk about how we're not supposed to talk about this card. We're not supposed to predict this sort of thing. Do we need to make that disclaimer? Entertainment yes.
Yeah, death and transformation.
This is what I got first. He's really concerned about his own survival, and there's a law for survival. God. I got that, and then you heard me go, oh! I thought, and whenever I get this card, I am like, oh crap. I don't know, because I know we're not supposed to talk about this.
That's
we're
pretty
not
bad.
Supposed to predict this.
That's pretty bad.
Well, what do you think, Whimsy? I mean,
I'll tell you, my first feeling when I go into it is that the older I get, the more tired I get as Trump, the more drugs I need. Mm-hmm. And that would fit with how we prescribe here in the United States. We might prescribe young people only one thing, an antidepressant, right? That's usually the first thing young people go on. And then it builds from there. Well, your blood pressure is going a little high. Well, you need some anti-cholesterol medication. But the other thing is sleep disturbances in seniors, and he has a 9 of swords in the 7th house. This guy is having trouble with his sleep and possible exhaustion. So instead of getting clean and sober right now, I get the impression that Donald Trump may be being more reliant than ever on pharmaceuticals.
Well, that's often the case. I mean, ironically, our beloved Judy Garland, Elvis Presley, their drug use, even if it was prescription medication, they kept having to take more and more and more. Poor Judy was only 47 years old, and she was just found dead the next morning. It was just that buildup in her liver, in her body. Her organs were shutting down. That was certainly the case with Elvis. That could be going on with Trump right now.
Yeah, I mean, it does feel that that 9 of Swords moving in like that, 7th position, the immediate environment. This is someone who's having trouble sleeping.
Mhm.
My physical body and me not being okay is more important to me than anything that's going on in the outside world, which is why Putin no longer threatens me. I'm wrapped up in my own story.
Right. And I think, oddly enough, Trump is worried about his legacy, in his warped mind. He's concerned about that. He knows his time is running out. I forget, it was somebody who used to work with him in his first administration who said, believe it or not, even during his first administration, he cared about his legacy.
Of course.
Yeah. I mean, never mind what it's going to be. And somebody here, Sue, you said, summarize, please. What do those 3 cards mean? I'm so sorry. I thought it was being clear on that, that he's concerned about his survival, the loss, and then ultimately leading to his demise. I'm so sorry if you didn't understand what I meant. But
Yeah.
I thought
Well, death can also be the death of his legacy or the death of his career.
It could be.
Things are changing. There's a major transformation.
Yeah. I always try to be very, very careful in my language, especially on a show like this when we're in front of thousands of people, and to predict a death. I never want to do that. But you're right. I'm glad you pointed that out. It could just be the death of the presidency, his legacy. It's possible he could be alive for a while longer after he leaves the White House.
Yeah. What do we have here from Joe?
Okay. Drones all over Denmark today. They were not shot down. Was the drones Russian? Ooh.
Well, you'll need to do a yes and no on that. Who owned those drones?
Were the drones,
was it Russia? Because they don't know.
Owned by the Russians. Were the drones owned by somebody else?
Or NATO?
Were the drones owned by NATO? Oh, okay. When I got asked if it was the Russians, it was kind of a wishy-washy in between. As soon as you said NATO, it jumped up to yes.
They're NATO drones.
By NATO. Yes, I get a big, strong yes on that.
Yeah, I get the same thing. Okay. So the drones that are entering are NATO, and it could be experimental drones, and it may not be public information, and they're entering positions where they fear Russian incursion. You can see here, Ace of Swords, immediate victory for us.
Yeah. Tension
or strife, quick with the opposition, moving in, and grief. It brings me no joy to see the fall of Russia. I don't know how you feel about that.
No.
That got to this point that we are, in fact, now at war with Russia, and we will likely march on Moscow. I mean, that this will probably, unfortunately, we really have no choice at this point. I mean,
I worry.
Do we have another choice? I mean, what's the other choice? He gave us no choice.
I worry about the innocent people of Russia, being victimized by all of this. The ones who are the innocent people who are suffering. I feel bad about that.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah. Dinah here said, I think he is scared to die, meaning Trump. I think he's scared to die because he doesn't sleep. I've known people like that. My father was afraid to die. When he was near the end, when he was 89 years old in a nursing home, I know he was terrified of dying, and he was just holding on, and sometimes he wouldn't sleep. Yeah. Oh, okay. What is the big meeting Hegseth is having all the military generals and admirals flying back to Washington for next week?
I think it's World War III, but let's go to, I think we'll have to throw some cards on this one.
Okay, let me shuffle these. I'm not getting clear answers here. Let's see. They're wanting, as best as I can tell through leadership, they're wanting Hegseth and the generals, they're wanting to find a way they can turn this around for a victory to our advantage. I'm getting that. I'm trying to clarify it further, but that's what I'm getting. There keeps this feeling like, what's in it for us? How are we going to come out ahead? How are we going to make Trump look good, this administration? How can we make this a victory? But I'm not getting anything beyond that. Whimsy, what are you getting?
Well, they don't want to do a first strike. What basically I see is that the United States does not want to engage in a first strike directly with Russia, but instead they will protect space or areas with drones, etc. But they want to maintain backup and protection from Putin incursions specifically into the United States.
Yeah.
But you have this confusion about not knowing what Putin is up to. He wants to get to ceasefire. And if he cannot, the war is over. He doesn't have any more money. So the only thing he can do now is go helter skelter. I'm going to blow it all up if you don't come in to have this meeting so that I can get the hell out of the situation I put myself in.
Getting back to scorched earth.
And then you have this sun energy. So he could also, if he's got nothing to lose, now is the time also where we will very likely see him expose things about Trump and anybody else he's got dirt on.
Yes.
Netanyahu, if he's got dirt on Netanyahu or anybody in American or Israeli leadership, European leadership, any dirt he's got on anybody in a position of power in the West, it's going to be dumped right about now.
Well, I mean, forgive me for putting it in such crude terms, but do you think the so-called PP tapes exist and Putin has those? Those would be deeply humiliating for Trump.
The sun is exposure, and the positive aspects.
Illumination.
Illumination. It's like, who doesn't want the sun? Sun. But then you can get radiation poisoning, right? It's also exposure. Our need for us to defend ourselves. Seven of Wands is a desire to defend your own territory. So our main concern is to not have them entering U.S. airspace. That's not the same as us being aggressive and shooting down Russian military. But what we are going to do is not allow them to encroach on U.S. airspace. And final outcome is that Russia will strike U.S. targets.
And that will likely set off a NATO.
Good. Yeah. So people had asked me about Ogun in anger and that ancient symbol of the king of metal, and this idea that the king of metal, who's associated with the metal element in Chinese medicine.
Yeah.
You think about the barefoot doctors that traveled across all the way from Africa into trade with China, India, Persia, all the way into Israel, the Holy Land, to Greece. And so what these barefoot doctors were doing was they were gathering up information. They were learning about stories and archetypes. But if you're talking about the most ancient, earliest symbol of the Knight of Swords, the King of Swords, it's Ogun. And so the reason why it's significant is, and it's associated with the air symbol, which is Geminis, Libras.
I'm trying to remember the other. Gemini,
Aquarius.
Aquarius.
Yeah, so I think Aquarius is cardinal, if I'm not mistaken. But so both Putin and Trump have this air aspect, but this is the violence of Ogun. And it is war. It's, like I said, the metal elements. So it's also been likened to a card that when there's a major virus that's about to hit, you'll get this angry, violent. This is COVID. Angry, erratic wind.
Yeah, you've talked about that. Viruses in the wind coming in the fall.
And so the metal element in Chinese medicine is the lungs and the large intestine, which is often will feel a virus, like you're coughing, the digestion, because that's where the virus hits. So angry wind can be expressed also as hurricanes, thunderstorms, etc.
Yes,
we were specifically asking about the war. And because it has, I think Putin's going to attack U.S. targets.
It makes sense. It just feels like wounded egos on both sides, wounded egos and lashing out in anger, because it's all they have left is their anger.
Well, it also means that we have no choice. You know, how are we going to, if that's what's going on, then we have no choice but to retaliate. If we're actually being attacked, if we're protecting U.S. airspace, 7 of Wands is to defend our own territory. If we're just putting up drones and planes saying, "Hey, don't come in, don't come in. We don't want to fight with you, but you can't come into this bar," right? You got the bouncers there. If he still persists or attacks U.S. targets, at that choice, we have no choice. We are in the war at that point.
Yeah. I keep getting the vibe that Putin is determined to destroy Trump, get back at him, whatever it's going to take. He's going to at least try.
So what do you want to do at this point? Do you want to check and see? I think there was a question that came up. This loyalty test for Trump with the military. How do you want to just see how this is going to end? Are we marching on Moscow? I know there's been a lot of threats now where they've openly said it, but is that where we're headed?
Well, because we've seen the military defying Trump a bit, like with the parade. Remember the military parade on his birthday, how the soldiers were not marching. They were just kind of walking casually down the street. It was like a screw you to Trump. They've taken an oath to protect the Constitution, and that includes, dictators taking over the government. You defend the Constitution first and foremost. Now, I'm not sure the question, loyalty test for Trump for the military. Could
the
you
military needs, well, is Trump loyal to Putin, or is he loyal to protecting the United States from all enemies, foreign and domestic? Let's go ahead and throw and see how this is going to play out. I hope we win the war. Yeah. It's not like Putin has anything to fight us with, unless they can lure China into it. And I don't think China's interested.
No, I don't think so. Okay. So I'm asking right now just about Putin and Trump, but specifically Whimsy.
Do you think that we're going to win this war? Do you think we're going to war?
Okay. So far my cards are about Putin and Trump, but are we going to win this war? Okay, this is a good sign. I think rather than belaboring this, I'm going to go with my last card because it's a good card. I got, it's because I was asking about Trump and Putin. I got the card around partnerships and love, the facade, the bromance, the thing they have tried to play up for years and years and years. Leadership. We have 2 world leaders here, but both men are fighting for their survival, and there's going to be, and when I use this death card, I'm using this as death of their presidencies, death of their leadership, death of their power. That's where this comes in. But that's when I stopped and I said, okay, Whimsy, specifically. And you said, are we going to win the war? I got victory. So that's why I'm not pulling any more cards. I think that says it.
Yeah, no, that's good. That's pretty much what I got too.
Tell me.
No, I got the same thing. But I'm doing the Rider Waite. But we have Chariot moving forward. If it's a question about running a race, a presidential race, you'll get the Chariot, by the way. But if it's a war question, it's movement, Chariot. On God, the chariots are coming. Open the seas. Kind of part the waves. And then the opposition would be Putin, and he's defending his territory with the 7 of Wands, moving into 8th position, which is the house of opposition. Hopes and fears, 9 of Swords, fear for the future, and America takes the world. Mm-hmm. I just don't see this scary, spooky future that everyone's talking about with artificial intelligence, because artificial intelligence, I just don't see a loss of jobs here. I see a change in jobs.
Yeah, an adaptation.
Because Yeah, it's like cashiering changed after people went automated. For example, now you can run a card, but you still have to have certain people there. But but it's very optimistic for the future of the United States, the world.
Well, you've been getting readings for quite a few months that after this nightmare works itself out, there's some positive times ahead for us and things that perhaps would never have been possible had not everything been shattered and broken first. This had
Well, this is why last night when I did the meditation, I had been working on a thesis for the Oasis for creating peace zones all over the world, particularly at borders where people have conflict. Like it would be great if South and North Sudan had an oasis border between them.
Yeah.
Because an oasis can always expand. You can make it bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger until the whole world is an oasis, right? So
I love that analogy.
yeah, so an oasis is a safe zone where people agree not to fight. And I think that there comes a point, and I think that a lot of people are receiving the same download. It's not just Whimsy receiving downloads. I see an oasis. I see an oasis. All over the world, people are getting the download. We need oasis now. We need oasis now. So people are like going and they're creating intentional communities or buying 2-3 acres of land and putting 20 tiny houses on it, and we become our own intentional community, and we can choose how we consume, how we share food, how we eat, and we can make those values for ourselves. And it's kind of like check out and tune in kind of energy comes to us, but also that it's more profitable for the world for us to create peace zones than war zones.
Yeah. Sorry. Sasha's trying to upstage everything. I'm trying to.
Hi, Sasha. Hi.
I'm trying to keep her from jumping up on the keyboard and cutting my half of the screen off. I didn't mean to upstage what you were saying.
She just wanted a little attention. So, getting
She's
back.
an Aries female, Whimsy.
Oh, well, I get it. So going back to the whole idea of Trump and loyalty test to the military, I think ultimately he's just sick, and he's sick and tired of this guy threatening him. And it's like, does it even matter now? Everything's over. He's dying and the Epstein stuff is coming out. So Putin has nothing on Trump that everybody else doesn't have at this point.
Yeah. I still keep going back to something I said a few weeks ago, and I acknowledge this could be a wild conspiracy theory type of thing, but we wondered, was Trump poisoned when he was in Alaska? Because we've noticed his health has gone downhill so much faster.
Something that builds up in the blood, like arsenic. That's what happened to the Diddy. People that were close to Diddy and people that had called out Diddy wound up with arsenic poisoning, including one of his bodyguards had arsenic poisoning 3 times. And now Jamie Foxx, what's his name? Jamie, he came out that it was positive he had arsenic poisoning.
That's right. That's right.
Don't you think it's a criminal investigation at that point if somebody is winding up at the ER at the hospital and you
would
discover arsenic?
So. Yeah, you would certainly
it's an
think
attempted murder, right?
Yeah, unless there's more to the story that we're not being told, but I don't know why. I'm always reluctant to bring that up because it's so far out there, and I try to be responsible with my words, but I had a hit today when Trump and Putin were in the presidential limousine together that something might have happened there. I don't know, Whimsy, your thoughts on it.
I'll tell you something else I feel. It's very difficult if they wanted to remove Putin, it would be very, very difficult. And the most likely way they would do it would be poisoning. So the very thing that Putin is afraid of, he has, he wanted to make sure that Prigozhin took care of his medical needs and his food sensitivities and tasting for poisoning, and goodbye to Prigozhin. He ends up killing Prigozhin, but so who knows who his supplier is now? But he keeps rotating his staff. So I think if Putin dies, it's going to be the FSB poisoning him.
Inside job. I've had similar feelings inside job on Trump, and I don't mean that to say someone's going to kill him, but something is going to bring him down inside his own circle. I've always felt that.
Well, it's almost like advising him to cut the cord with his own that his own party has cut the cord because of everything that's coming out on the Epstein file.
He's obsolete. They're throwing him under the bus.
And let's face facts, that a lot of them don't care about Epstein. It's ultimately about the economy and trying to make money.
Of course it is. But it's a tool.
Do you want to throw some cards on? Did you have something else you wanted to add?
I was just going to say, I was watching David Pakman's show a few days ago, and he was interviewing a woman who used to work for the then press secretary. And I forget her name, but she said, if there was something really, really bad in those reports, Merrick Garland would have used it a long time ago during Trump's first administration. I thought that was an interesting thing she brought up. And I was wondering if you had an observation about that, Whimsy.
I don't think that was the nature of him, because he was such a choir boy. He was very, he followed the book to the point where, and was fair to the point that it was irrational. Like, let's do an investigation on this person because the GOP wants it. Let's take a look at the Dredge report. Let's take a look. And even it didn't matter that it had no basis in reality. So he didn't really do much to protect the American people.
Yeah.
The fact that all those private documents were sitting in Trump's lair, and he was like having cocktails with friends and showing nuclear weapons information and
cardboard file boxes in the bathroom.
Yeah, that in and of itself, the fact that he didn't get prosecuted for that.
There's a plethora of things he should have been prosecuted for.
Yeah, absolutely insane. Well, let's go ahead and take a look at the Epstein files being fully released and what the consequences will be.
Now, tell me, Whimsy, you said today they are definitely being released, right?
Yeah, I think what happened was there was a special election.
There was a special election, and it was in the favor of the Democrats, and it's my understanding it will give them the...
Yeah, they're only ahead by something like 3 seats. This is a very thin majority, and it's looking like it's impossible for them not to. They can't win the House in 2026 for a number of reasons because of redistricting. They tried to frantically to do redistricting in Texas, but that's not going to save them in 2026.
No, and then we're countering it here in California.
Well, the other thing is a lot of people are retiring, something like several members of Congress retiring on the Republican side, at least, 10, 12 of them. So it could be as many as 24 seats flipping for the Democrats. And if people leave early and you have special elections, we could see the Democrats taking control even before 2026. And that's really the big news when you go into this, is that as more and more of this Epstein stuff leaks, more and more members of Congress could find, particularly if that their names come up as well, they could be slipping out the back, Jack, and we could be seeing, in fact, I know we will be seeing more special elections before 2026 vote.
We're claiming our power.
How do y'all feel about that?
We're claiming our power back. This is an interesting comment from Op Yop, if I said that correctly. Release has to go through the Senate and be signed by the president. Is that true? So Trump could still stop the release of these files? Does he have final say?
I don't know. Let's take a look and find out if that's true.
Does Trump have the final say in the
release?
Let's just
see what's gonna. Well, we can just find out what the results are gonna be.
Okay, I gotta know. I gotta know.
I have a feeling they're going to bypass the president because of what I heard Lindsey Graham saying.
Yeah.
So, Mr. President, the Senate gets, at some point, based on the remotes, the Senate is getting involved. Are we almost there yet, Chuck?
I'm just looking at
that
this
conversation. 2 months.
Trump right now, just offhand, I pulled just a couple here. Let's put it this way: he's going to be sitting on his gold toilet a lot. in fear, because I got despair and suffering. I think he knows it's all crashing down around him. He can't stop this.
Oh my God.
He can't stop this. And I got that no on the pendulum, and I asked, can the Trump be the final word here? And I got it's going to come out. But I'm going to stop with the cards there, let you get into more specifics.
Well, I know that we had the vision of Lindsey Graham telling him he had the honor of resigning.
Yes.
And so that means Congress is getting involved, and it means that Congress is going to side with release. Yeah. And so he has lost, or it means that the Senate is going to side with Congress. Mm-hmm. I would think, otherwise, why would Lindsey Graham said that in the remote? See what I'm saying?
So you have to do your impression of Lindsey Graham that everybody loves.
Mr. President, you have to go. You can't stay. You cannot stay. I give you the honor of please get the hell out of here.
Oh, I never get tired of that whimsy.
So a new beginning in Congress, Ace of Swords. And I'll tell you something else. This is springtime 2026. This is Uriel, and Uriel paves the way. He's the pioneer. He creates new things. And so anytime you need to push through on something, you go to Archangel Uriel, and Ace of Swords is victory. So it's unlikely that they will be able, they're extremely angry, but they've completely lost control of Congress. So the Republicans have lost control of Congress.
Oh, yeah.
And I'll tell you something else. Empress is the treasure trove that ever overflows, is the treasure trove of information, the abundance. If you're talking about investigation of a case, if you get something like the Empress, it's the fertility, it's the abundance. So all hell breaks loose. Look at the response. Ogun there with his sword, ready with the wind and storm and fighting. I'm telling you, cannibalism.
Desperation.
And then you see the walkout. Then you see these Republicans, particularly if they've been named or implicated in any of this activity, time to retire. And then we have those special elections. And that is why I'm thinking we could reach majority Democrat before we hit 2026.
Yeah.
Look at you. You're like a happy Labrador.
I had that in one of my readings like 2-3 weeks ago. The Democrats were going to really prevail in 2026. So I just love hearing this.
I think we could get there sooner. And the other thing is 10 of Pentacles standing in the fourth house, which is family legacy. And the dark aspect is dirty little family secrets. That is the 10 of Pentacles inverted, or the dark aspects of inheritance. It's also genetic deformities, right? So it's all about inheritance and legacy. And we inherit the good, we inherit the bad. Sometimes we inherit things we aren't supposed to talk about. There's an element of secrecy to the Pentacles, spying, secrecy. And then the opposition is the Sun to the 10 of Pentacles. You know, it goes back also to what we have said about the Republicans. Are you going to be praise singers for this president, or are you going to do what's right for the American people?
Yeah.
And there comes that point when you either have to accept beyond a shadow of a doubt that this lunatic does not belong in the White House. Absolutely. And you have a moral responsibility to do what's best for the American people. And that seems to be the division. And that is ultimately what causes a lot of members of Congress to step down. What a freaking nightmare. I wonder who's going to be implicated.
Say nothing. Just how incredible.
Well, I know Lindsay. They're now spreading rumors about Lindsay and his private parties where he dresses as a woman. Everybody knew about that. It's so boring, too. It's so milquetoast. I watched Out Views, and it was such milquetoast. You wouldn't believe it.
Oh, yeah. Well,
all she does is she dresses like a Southern lady, and she plays bridge with her friends.
What a visual. That's... I'm thinking back to J. Edgar Hoover and his red satin evening gown that he used to love.
But that's all that Miss Lindsay does. I mean, she is Miss Lindsay. She likes her beautiful knickknacks and her pretty china for her teas, and she likes to play bridge with her girlfriend. Well, and so it's like, who cares? This is the salacious thing you were going to show us. And occasionally she calls prostitutes, but
well, to us it's not so salacious, but I think to a lot of those
we lived in West Hollywood. We saw it all.
Oh my God, we've
you didn't, but I did. You used to work in West Hollywood.
Yes, we did, but
no, I actually lived there. So
that 32% that's clinging on to loyalty to Trump, I think they are going to be shocked when a lot of this comes out. But also, you and I remember weeks ago we were getting similar things about J.D. Vance. Remember, you said he identifies as female.
Well, that was the thing. Evidently, he was being attacked by somebody on the left about the fact that he talked about being confused. I think he may have gone through conversion therapy or something like that.
Something to F him up even further.
It's something that I think he's been openly talked about.
Yeah, I mean,
he still has the mascara. He still has the transgender thing.
Miss Maybelline, yeah. Some have called him Miss Maybelline. But I mean, I know, of course, there have been the college dorm pictures where he's got a wig on and dress. I mean, funny stuff like that. But you and I once got a reading that there are much more incriminating photos out there, and he's really scared for himself if he ever becomes president, which we think he will, that all of this is going to come up.
Yeah.
So but I guess it's all just part of cleaning.
Who cares? But
I don't care.
Meanwhile, the Democrats are like, okay, well, that makes you slightly interesting.
I agree with that.
Yeah, like that would be like, well, he ain't all that bad.
Yeah,
if he's trans, well, then he can't be all bad.
Just get out your pretty hat with the flowers and
you and Miss Lindsay,
your pretty dress.
Yeah, like we don't care. We think that's actually
God. Who cares?
Viva la difference, like I like
who they are,
Yeah, I love that.
Celebrate.
I love my friends. We're all freaks. We're all different.
Yes,
we're all independent.
That's why we love each other.
We like good food and we just accept each other. All right. Well, will Israel be United States of Judea? What do you think? And do you think that the United States is ultimately just trying to invest in Israel in a sense that it's Don't you think it's already become Little America? I mean, it started off as a leftist concept of communist building communities, kibbutzes, and it's turned into this evangelical nightmare. I don't even know what they did to Israel. It's pretty horrifying.
Well, you are vastly more qualified to talk about this than I am, being an Israeli, having been in Israel even recently. Your opinion I would value tremendously.
Well, let's throw some cards on the future of Israel.
Okay.
Less violence. I mean, the Houthi just bombed Safat, wounding 20 people too seriously. So we're still being bombed by the Houthi, Israel.
Oh.
I think Netanyahu needs to go.
Yeah. So far, I'm getting it's going to be better, but I'm getting kind of yucky cards. Just describing the current state. That's why I'm anxious to hear what you're going to say, but I'm getting there's definitely a shadow over Israel. There's shame, a lot of restriction, loss, judgment on Israel. But I also get, much like what we're going through, we're going to have beautiful new beginnings. I do get there will be new beginnings ultimately, but all of that is what's going on right now. That's what I'm feeling, and that has to be worked through.
Yeah, so we have this restriction card here, 8 of Swords, because they have no choice. They have to take out the terrorists. Yeah. So that's, you and I resonate really well together. But even though we're using different cards, this is resistance, restriction. And we also have more war, that on guard. But in the end, they have to take the deal. So what is the deal? The deal is that Hamas terrorists have to surrender and go to a host country that agrees to take them. And anybody who supports Hamas, because they're a terrorist organization, there are 380,000, give or take, people living in Gaza that want to kill Jews, murder all the Jews. They can't stay. They're not part of the peace process. They'll never be part of the peace process. Similarly, the right-wing lunatics in Israel, many of whom are anti-Zionist. I mean, they're funding groups in Israel that are anti-Zionist. So we need to cut funding to them too, and talk about the way you build a state is through unity, compassion and unity. So I think on the Israeli side, we're going to see Putin gone, and we're going to be moving towards integration and unity and peace. And I think on the Gaza side, the same thing is happening, that the people themselves, the majority, have said, we want Hamas gone. We don't want to be a part of this. And so those who remain, which I think is going to be something like 1.7 million people that want peace, we can rebuild. But I'm saying this as a compassionate person. They can't stay in Gaza proper. They have to get out of that area because it is a toxic waste zone. And what they're probably going to do is they're going to have to put more bunker bombs to blow it up, because they've got tunnels going down 60 meters with chemical weapons and everything else. And the Israelis, where they knew chemical weapons were stored, and when they broke into the chemical weapons shed underground, they found 150 gassed Hamas. They were trying to detonate it, and they ended up killing themselves. So when the Israelis went in with hazmat, there were 150 dead Hamas people. So we don't know how much more of that stuff is there. So for the safety, because I do care about the children of Gaza, so just for safety, of course they can't stay, and we, 4,000 calories a day now administered. So people need to be in Rafah, and then they need to do the vetting process where anybody who wants to continue to fight gets separated, because that door will not open with Egypt and allow the Gazan people out until they want Hamas gone. And nobody wants to do it. They expect you do it, Israel, and then Israel ends up taking the blame. But in answer to the question about Israel being United States of Judea, I would like them to be independent of the right-wing extremist and go back to their more liberal core values, and to work more towards integration. And I think we will. I think the dark days of Netanyahu are coming to an end. He can't be there forever.
What's interesting when you mentioned the bunkers, Zelensky just stated, I think the other day, that stopping the war in Ukraine is going to be a lot cheaper than having to build underground kindergartens and massive bunkers and underground infrastructures to protect the people. And they might have no choice to do that.
He just doesn't have any more money, so he's like desperate to get people to just agree to anything. All right, so moving on, Bridget says, what do you think? Government shutdown, yes or no?
I don't like that either. Yeah. Well, normally we've always pulled out at the last minute. We've always had this drama. Oh, the government's about to shut down. You're not going to get your social security checks today. Right now, with everything so broken and in such chaos, this has me scared.
Let's take a look.
Okay. Is there going to be a government shutdown?
We'd have to reach a high enough majority that we could avoid a veto by the president.
Okay. Because I just asked Pendulum first before cards. I said, is there going to be a government shutdown? It didn't give me a yes or no. It gave me the maybe. And do you think that's why? Because it could go either way, and it would depend on how.
I think that Congress is in a lot of trouble. I think, like I said, there's going to be more special elections. I think that
they can't afford to piss off voters.
Yeah, I think there's a lot going on, and I think you have this leaving energy, and they agree. But I think they're going to have to override masters. The intellectuals come in. They will have to override the president so that the president becomes a lame duck. It's crazy. He's got Republicans in the House, Republicans in the Senate, and he's on the verge of becoming a lame duck.
That's incredible, because that's going to require a 2/3 majority. That is going to be a miracle.
It's very possible that that's exactly what's going to happen.
Yeah, because, nothing is going to piss off voters.
The big, beautiful bill was the biggest mistake of their career.
Oh,
it signed the fate that they're not going to be reelected. Anybody that signed the big, beautiful bill, we got your number.
And that's going to be their legacy.
And you'll be, and the voters will be reminded of what you did when the elections come around 2026. So it's time to retire, and many of them will. Rather than run a race they know they're going to lose. Can't believe you got pressured into making a stupid mistake like that.
I know.
Now is the time to repent and fix it. In answer to oasis zones, the idea of an oasis zone is that it would have security. It's a security zone, so you have military protection, which goes back to one of the things we learn about the Middle East. It hasn't been just war and hell. It's also been oasis zones, zones of tolerance, but we supplied security and protection. If you're going to go into this secure zone, you'd better be able to get past security, which means you have to be somebody that's dedicated to peace.
Yeah.
And a good point mentioned by Contessa that you have to have security in these areas because everybody's going to want to take over and get those resources, which unfortunately is what happened in Gaza. Gaza was becoming an oasis zone when the Israeli settlers pulled out. They did not take all those resources. They had greenhouses and everything. They just let it all fall apart, and they could have turned it into something really great. And that's just one mistake that was made under Hamas.
Yeah.
So what does Mary Stitch say?
Putin can't afford to attack the U.S. Their state-run media is anticipating an economic collapse. Well, that's more or less what we've been talking about. We agree with that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Bob
Whoa.
Putin. That's
talking about that too.
Very likely, if he, the only way he's going to be able to save himself is by retiring to his villa in Siberia. And if he doesn't do that, he will be assassinated. Absolutely.
And even there, he may not be safe.
Don't you think once he's out of the picture, they'll just leave him alone? What would be the point of assassinating him if he's retired?
Only thing I can think of is petty revenge. Pettiness. But you're right. What would be the point otherwise?
Well, they say the bear doesn't forget. Like if you betray Russia, they'll come after you 20 years later. Mm-hmm. So it could be something like that.
Putin will probably retire to his villa in Siberia, and Trump will probably resign because of his health, and that will be looked upon with a certain amount of honor and dignity.
Sure, the honor of resigning, and then if Trump leaves because of his health in a wheelchair or whatever, he's going to look like FDR. Then he can go die, and then he can get that presidential funeral he wants.
Oh, I didn't even think about that. He is going to milk this. You're right. He'll be in the wheelchair like FDR. Probably put a shawl around himself.
Yeah, because it's better for him to look like the hero that gave his all before he left.
Yes.
Than some demented lunatic that's afraid that his pee-pee tape got out. Mm-hmm. Garland overcompensated to appear impartial. Yeah, I agree. Absolutely. That was, and Candy says Garland was useless.
Yeah. I'm
what
surprised
terrible
he do something when he had the chance. Wow. What a terrible era in which idiots govern the blind, from William Shakespeare. Thank you, Raymond D. Pasquale.
Yeah, so in a case of this, I think we could see the Senate overriding the president.
Yeah, because we addressed that a little earlier. But that is going to be extraordinary, a 2/3 majority, which will be required. 218 has been reached with a few Republicans on board to release the files, forcing a discharge petition. Democrats will win the House in 26. Good to me.
Well, they had said also that the redistricting was actually favoring Democrats in 2026, not Republicans, which is why they had, I guess there was some redistricting that happened in, was it South North Carolina, some other red states.
Which desperation. They know it's the only way
they can win. Ahead. Well, populations increase, and that means new districting. So in certain areas, so it's not necessary. I think a lot of things happened, like North Carolina has become increasingly blue. You have young families.
I know that for a fact.
North Carolina, South Carolina, parts of Virginia. So it's just also the mobility that people move. They go where the jobs are. Young people are going to go where the jobs are, and that's going to change the demographics. That happened a lot in Georgia, and now it's happening in Mississippi. New jobs and cheap land in Mississippi is attracting young people. A lot of people work online now, so they're able to move to places like Kansas, etc. And those I don't think that we can stop these demographic shifts. People were predicting just on demographic shifts alone, we would be ahead 12 seats we would gain 12 seats.
Yeah.
But I'm thinking more, it could be as much as 24 seats. But for sure, 12 seats with new redistricting. So that shows, but now it's gotten ridiculous. Even if Texas were to do everything that they're doing, they wouldn't be able to save themselves.
No, I don't think so. We're only talking about 5 seats, right? 5 districts.
I think it's even less if we have special elections, which we very likely will.
And California, what we're doing here will.
Yeah. It works out that we have 12 additional seats, leaning Democrat.
This is a good question. Will Johnson delay the newest Democratic Congresswoman from being sworn in? Oh, we certainly saw shenanigans from Mitch McConnell, but you don't think so?
I don't think he could, but let's go ahead and take a look.
Yeah, because they've certainly done shenanigans before along these lines. We saw it with Supreme Court nominations from Obama.
I think Johnson has to give it up and just give the power back to the people.
Okay.
Because otherwise he's going to be a praise singer and a sycophant.
Sure.
And, yeah.
They know it's catching up with them right now.
Yeah. So let's take a look at if she gets in and what's going on with Johnson.
Is she going to get in? Well, first of all, I just did the old-fashioned yes and no, and I got a very strong no on Johnson stopping her, and I got a yes that yes, she will be sworn in. I haven't pulled any cards, but that's
okay. That's good. Said. So that makes me feel good. Inverted fool card for, I just really think that, evidence to support. I think that Johnson, something is going on with Johnson. I don't know if he's going to stay with Trump. I really think there could be a falling out between Mike Johnson and Trump. It's not looking good, those two. He has lost control of Congress.
It seems like Trump falls out eventually with everyone. I don't mean that as a general statement, but it just seems that way. This past history. The Geocosmic Valentine, the new Congresswoman from Arizona, will be the person they need for the vote. The Democrats need for the majority vote to release the files. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Raymond D. Pasquale, when one with honeyed words but evil mind persuades the mob, great woes befall the state. Euripides, when one with Euripides, when one with honeyed words but evil mind persuades the mob, great woes befall the state. And that is a quote from Euripides.
Oh, you with your vanity, you don't want to wear your glasses.
Well, I have multifocal contacts, and sometimes when I
I get it.
I can't read fast enough, and I don't want to be blinking my eyes, so this works better. But anyway, the digital file, Candy the Brave. The digital files can be released from anyone in the world who has them. That's true. That's true. And I'm even thinking of all of the women who have been coming forward with their own lists. It's just time. Oh, beautiful energy. $20 contribution. And
thank you so much for that. That's very kind of you.
And we will survive. Yes, we shall.
No, I think that Gaza will be a beautiful place. I think that the military to oversee the oasis zones will be the Abraham Accords, which means that security has to be equally shared by the IDF, most likely Bedouins. Our Arab Bedouin Israeli unit will probably go in. That way it'll be other Bedouins, other Arab Muslims that are going to be helping with the rebuild. And also they speak the language. So I think that I think they estimated something like 5,000, because I did the report and it was that they would need 5,000 Bedouin IDF, and then United Arab Emirates would also assist, and Egypt as well. And that's going to happen fairly soon once they clear Hamas, which is good.
Sabisa E. Jordan, I can't understand how he can just fire people because the government shut down. But I'm sure he'll try. Yes, I agree with that. I'm sure he'll try.
I think a lot of people got rehired. That was the disaster of Doge. They fired everybody and then they had to rehire so many people because the business, everything shut down. So that was kind of funny.
Yeah. And from Raymond Di Pasquale, a body of men holding themselves accountable to nobody ought not to be trusted by anybody, from Thomas Paine. And paperback writer, he might do it if it's not going well and before the shutdown. Possibly.
Yeah.
I think Trump is just he's going to be going wild as he reaches the end. I think we're going to just see a whole carnival of tricks and we're going to see his greatest hits on parade, all of his distractions, anything he's got left to do. Russia has huge underground network of bunkers for years. I believe I have read that. Yeah, the big, beautiful nightmare bill. Actually, your language is clean, Joel. I've heard big, beautiful bullshit bill. The big, ugly bill. Lots of people have their own names for it.
You want to talk about this?
Yeah, what was the point of indicting Comey today? Well, Trump said that he's going after all of his political enemies. And of course, the statute of limitations against Comey was going to run out, I think, Friday of next week. So I saw there were a couple of, I think there were 3 federal indictments, and 2 were passed today. I just saw it briefly on the news. And my first thought, maybe this is just opinion, but I keep thinking about what he did to Hillary Clinton in 2016, 11 days before the election, when he brought up her emails again and just derailed her. And then it was like, oh, never mind, but the damage had been done. And we ended up with Trump. And I even think, could this be karma? That may be just my personality. Is this karma?
Let's take a look.
It's coming to the roost,
Let's take a look at Comey's cards.
Okay. What happened to Comey? What happened to Comey? I'm getting that he's going to come out of this. That there's going to be a lot of decisions being made, but one of the cards, sometimes I interpret these cards in an abstract way, like boredom. I take this card to also mean like complacency. It's like Trump is running out of things to throw. He's distracting anywhere he can. He's going after his political enemies. So he's doing this out of pettiness, but I'm getting that ultimately there's going to be compromise, new life, and even celebration and gifts. And I take that as positive, like he's going to be cleared. He's going to get through this.
Yeah, I get the same exact thing. I get the star.
Yeah.
Evidence, hung up, and stable partnerships as the 2 of wands. So, yeah. Somebody had asked this question, evangelicals feel left behind. I hope they didn't give everything away. Well, that's the bottom line, is that when you're donating to a church, understand that they take a portion of the church and they give it to a lot of these America First organizations. And this is how the church is impacting our politics. And that's when you have that crossing between politics and religion is through these lobby organizations, and they've done a lot of damage.
So much for separation of church and state. Yeah, but it's the Heritage Foundation. I mean, I just hope and pray they don't continue forward with this destruction.
How does Israel square with udding flotilla with aid traveling to Gaza? Well, that if you want to give aid to Gaza, there's plenty of aid that's going to Gaza. But the problem is that not that aid shouldn't go to Gaza. That's what Hamas wants you to think. But the problem is that Hamas goes in with guns and then they steal the food. And you can see here they are, the armed militia. And so every time we bring food in, the military comes and steals the food, and then the people starve. And so Israel stopped shipping the food in that was being hijacked by the militia. So the thing, and I'm a peace activist, so I certainly don't want to see children going hungry. It's the last thing I want. So how can we get the food to the people without having Hamas steal the food? And it's become a big problem. So the UN and UNRWA had Hamas. Hamas had infiltrated. And so Hamas is a terrorist organization that's been stealing the food from the people. So that is why there's no way to get the food. The other thing is if the people go to the Americans to get the food, then Hamas will go and steal the food back and then torture the Gazans who committed the crime of taking food from the Americans.
Oh, goodness.
So, how can we get food in? That's something that we think about all the time.
Mm-hmm.
If Hamas keeps stealing food and killing the people that take the food, then the children are going to starve to death, and they begin using their own people as human shields, and that's really unfortunate. Yeah. And so what has now happened is that the people have begun to take the food back by raiding the houses. See, Hamas stole the food and put it in Hamas warehouses. And so now the people have gone in and stolen the food back, and that's why they're So this is a warehouse where Hamas had taken all the food to feed the army. They're trying to feed the army of Hamas supporters. And so what the people did is they went back and they said, hey, you want some bread? You want some this? And they went and raided it back. And so it's just become something that's never ending. And I don't understand this type of evil, that you would use your own people as human shields and you would just steal food and shoot at people. So you can see the gunmen are Hamas, not Israel. It's just very unfortunate, and we just have to pray for peace. And the people of Gaza don't want Hamas there. They want them to leave them alone. They don't want to be human shields. Maybe when they were younger, they thought, yeah, Hamas is going to come and kick ass, but that attitude has quickly changed, and now they just want them to go. Just get out of our country. You've destroyed everything, and Israel doesn't look good, and Hamas doesn't look good, and war is hell. It's a terrible thing. Yeah.
War is hell, and you even made the comment. It's just pure evil.
Yeah.
Pure evil. It's very distressing.
Yeah, and we have a Contessa had said that Hamas leader said that today he's winning with public sympathy. Yeah, I think that is a really good point that Contessa makes, is that the longer this goes on, the worse this looks for Israel. And I guess that was part of the point.
Mm-hmm.
Israel is winning. I mean, we've taken 75%, but we don't want to hold on to it. It's almost like we want to love you, but we got to get control of you first. I mean, we got to get rid of the terrorist and build oasis zones. And that is precisely the agreement we're trying to get with the Abraham Accords. But Egypt, I used to be really mad at El-Sisi because he wouldn't open the gate and let everybody out. But he's like, let them out. These people are crazy terrorists. I'll be in the middle of civil war if I do that. So it's like, you clear them and then I'll open the gate. So that's pretty much the situation. And we just, I know we're going to get there. I know that Oasis will happen. I believe in it. I don't think I'm the only person that got this download. I think that this was a spiritual message that every time I go into deep meditation, particularly when I do the plant medicines,
Yes.
and go into the deeper
The
meditation.
energy of the plant medicines.
Yeah. You can meditate with a plant or, chamomile tea, holy basil, scutellaria, valerian root are all mystical herbs.
I
Uh,
was gonna,
yeah,
I was even going to ask you about holy basil.
yes, holy basil is for deep trauma. So you
Yeah.
want to be doing it at least for a week to 21 days. One herb. Don't mix your medicines if you're just working with one plant. If you want to do deep trauma work. But I've been channeling with chamomile. That's been my main, getting high with chamomile. Uh,
Yeah.
you can smoke it too, by the way. It makes
I
great
didn't
cigarettes.
know you could smoke.
You can burn it, you can smoke it, but Chuck gets worried about me. You're back on plant medicine. No, chamomile. But I'm promoting this idea because I believe it's a download. I believe other people will receive the same download.
Yes.
Is
It's in the
that
collective
at places,
consciousness.
right? At places of conflict, we need to create zones of intention, and we need to have our own military protecting us. And I believe that when we give people the choice to live the good life, they take the good life, and that is how we do away with extremism, is through integration, through these types of zones. It doesn't mean that they're going to agree with us, and it doesn't mean that we're going to agree to them, but we're just agreeing to lay down arms and not fight and build the land and work the land. And it will work if we get the international support to do it. And I believe we will, and I believe we have.
Yeah.
So that's my vision.
Okay.
Did you have fun today, my love?
I did. We have fun doing this show, connecting with everyone, connecting with you. As you said, it's been a whole 48 hours since we've seen each other. So we get to have our visit and catch up as well. Whimsy, look what came in the mail today.
Well, tell me when you're ready to go to Rome, and I can make something happen for you.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
I think I might have a little money in the kitty for a round trip ticket to Rome.
Well, let's see what's going to happen here. But I just wanted to tell you, I let this expire during the pandemic lockdown when none of us were thinking about traveling beyond our living rooms. And so here I am 5 years later. I finally have a valid passport again. I'm just happy about that.
Yeah, I think if you go like in November, you might be able to get round trip ticket to Rome with 3-4-star hotel for 4 days in Rome for about $1,200.
Wow. That's
and
incredible.
then so all you would have to pay for if I gave that as your bonus this quarter, every quarter I try to give them a little something. If that was your quarter, for example, and because in November I think I'm going to be in Finland, so I might be kind of close to you. But if say you did that with your benefit this quarter, and then that would give you 4 days in Rome, and then then your own money would just be for train and go and see Venice and Florence. But I think Florence can be a 1-day trip. You could also stay in Rome and just do 1-day trips. You don't have to stay in Florence. It's like a 2.5-hour trip. You get up early, you catch the 9 a.m., you spend the afternoon, and you catch the 8 p.m. train back to Rome. That's what I did because I just found it was the most easiest. And I got like 2-3 free days in a Rome hotel. And the Rome hotel we got was literally overlooking the Colosseum. And they let us pick our robes, our favorite colors. And I chose green, and my sister chose purple. When we got there, our robes were out. We opened these big veranda, and we looked out over at the Roman Colosseum. It was absolutely incredible. And then we had a shuttle pick us up for our day trips. We were able to go by shuttle to Florence. So they'll get there early, 6 a.m, 7 a.m, depending on when you want to leave. But I'll tell you, we were not tired. We were able to sleep on the shuttle coming back. And as we came back, it was Italian Independence Day. We didn't know. And as we came back, all this explosion of colors came down on us as we were returning back to the Colosseum. It was absolutely.
It was all for you.
Yeah. So I think that may be one way you do it. that's going to be able to save you money on hotel is if you go with just a package like that, because he'll give you 2-3 days, and then that allows you to see Venice, and everything is so close together.
I haven't
And
been to Venice for 30 years.
yeah, that's a really nice trip. We did that. We did that twice. You just you catch the shuttle or the train. We took the train, and it was like 2.5 hours to Venice. We got up at like 7 in the morning and had breakfast. We always stay at bed and breakfast, or places that include breakfast.
That's
Had
what
ourselves have a really good breakfast and get yourself on the train about 8-9 a.m. And it'll get you there at about 10:30, 11 a.m. and then you can literally spend the entire day. And then it's like last call, 8 p.m. then everybody bundles on and goes back to Rome at about 8 p.m.
That sounds like my way of living. I
really
love
works
the
out well.
European lifestyle. I love train travel, just taking it, as Lucy said, soaking up local color, before she got in the great vat.
Well, I think that Rome is very clean in some part and dirty in others. But what's nice about is that, it's overcrowded. They don't like to see a lot of people at the hotels. So what's nice when you do the day trips is that you just go back on the train. It's not particularly difficult to do. And then you're able to be centrally located. And, but you could also get a hotel to stay in Venice. It's a little pricey, and most people don't stay in Venice proper. They'll usually stay someplace close, and just do a day trip. And I found, like I said, you can do it with the shuttle driving you there. But by the way, it's a beautiful ride. If you take the shuttle or you take the train, you can just look out and take amazing scenery and seeing the wildlife, and stopping by those Tuscany food, having beautiful prosciutto. We indulged the prosciutto. I don't usually eat that way, but I'll tell you, they say prosciutto is the leanest. It's a little too salty, though. It is lean. Yeah.
I'll probably come back 30 pounds heavier. But
okay. Well, we'll talk. We'll work it out when you're ready to go. We'll make it. Florence is amazing, and we did do a day trip also to Florence. I think Florence may be closer, if I'm not mistaken. You get there a little bit faster, and you can go and see the David. Same thing. We didn't feel the need to stay in Florence. We just had a really hearty breakfast at 7, got on the train at 9, and then we were in Florence in less than 2 hours. And got to see that see all the beauty of Florence as we went in on the train, which is in and of itself a treat. And then we saw all of the art. And you could do 2-3 days in Venice just back and forth. It's only $30 round trip.
Yeah. This sounds like one of my typical type A vacations, where I need a vacation from the vacation when I get home.
Right.
Because
you don't have to take my advice. I mean, you could do 4 days in Rome and then stay at a place in Venice, stay at a place, but then you're constantly moving your luggage. It's a pain in the ass, we found. And then we found that the prices were like $700 a night in Venice. It was like, what's the point when I can just do the $30 round trip, get up in the morning and go back. And if I want, the next day I can do it, I'm just happy to take the train back to my hotel in Rome. And so we did it that way, and we were able to nap on the train, and it was a much more enjoyable. We didn't have to keep moving our luggage, and because we had stayed additional nights, we were able to get 1 or 2 nights free and save money that way on our road trip.
Yeah, I'm grateful for luggage with wheels. That's a game changer.
If I don't have to move, then I won't move. All right, Chuck. So if people want to get a reading with you, how do they do it?
Oh, yes. It's just, I don't see my name there anymore, but it's dransfieldchuck@gmail.com. I love hearing from you.
What happened to your name?
I don't know. Well, your name's not on there either. The only thing I see is Rome is dirty. Yuck. Go to Venice in front of you. But anyway, it's Dransfield Chuck. I love doing readings for you. It's my privilege. It's my honor. And
channeled artwork as well.
Yes.
And medical intuition.
Yeah.
And you have a channel. Tell them about your channel.
Chuck's Captivating Chronicles, and I have a little tiny talk show on Mondays. Chuck's Captivating Chat, Mondays, 5 p.m. Pacific, 8 p.m. Eastern.
Awesome. Well, I had a really great time with everybody. If you haven't had a chance to like, share, and subscribe, I know Chuck would love it if we got to 100K.
Oh, it'd be wonderful.
And we had over 500 people here watching the show live. And of course, we'll have another, I don't know, 10,000 hopefully later on. So it just adds, and we're just grateful that we've started to really take off on the channel. So we're grateful for all of that as well. Yeah, it's a beautiful thing. All right, we're out of here. Be kind to all so that all will be kind to you too. God bless. Peace out. We will see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Bye, everybody. Thank you very much.
Bye.
Goodbye.